Please join me in welcoming Franco Scanca.
Thanks, Bill. So whenever the clock is ready, I can just gonna set up my speech here. Might need some notes, I think.
Ready?
Yep. Okay, thank you very much. Speech is titled "The Kid," and I'll explain more about that later. Someone once said, every child is an artist. The problem is staying an artist when you grow up. I'm not going to talk about art or artwork. I want to talk about retaining that youthful optimism, that unlimited mindset that we all had as children, to overcome fears and challenges as adults. The quote talks more about, and when we grow up, we tend to lose that sense of optimism, imagination, fearlessness, all things that we could use a little bit more of as adults. Now, I know you're probably thinking, what do I know about thinking of a child? Well, the one person I learned most about having a youthful outlook on life was my grandfather, who lived to be 101. I used to learn a lot from my kids, but growing up, my grandfather was the one who really taught me about maintaining a youthful, optimistic outlook on life as we grow up as adults. That's kind of what I want to talk about, how I applied that particular approach to undertaking this challenge. And there's three ways that thinking like a child, or with a youthful approach, can help me in this event. The first was to simply have fun. When we're talking about, the world record, that's fine. But the point is to raise money for the Canadian Cancer Society to help those who help others. And there's a lot of details and a lot of planning involved. But one thing I had to maintain was to have fun with the event, with the process. And in doing so, it helps bring your stress level down a little bit. When you're undertaking any type of challenge, try to have fun with it as much as you can. Helps, relieve that stress a little bit. And helps bring your guard down a little bit. Second thing is to simplify. As adults, we are experts at complicating things. Right? As adults, we're great at complicating life. And one thing I learned from kids is that they're great at oversimplifying things. So I took a lesson from that as well. And really just starting with the one question that kids love to ask. Is that one question, this one word, that's almost impossible to answer. And the question is why? Those who have kids, or always have little kids, always remember that question is why. At least another question, why, and why, and why. And you think of that when you think of it as an adult taking on a challenge or a project or whatever it may be, asking the question why, starting with the question why, helps you to break it down in a much more simplistic way. Albert Einstein said, if you can't explain something, or a concept to a 6-year-old that you don't understand it yourself. Right? So simplifying definitely helps. And when my 5-year-old asked me, what does it mean to do 23 speeches in 24 hours? I wasn't quite sure on how to answer it. But it's a simple question. The third part is transparency. Kids are brutally honest, right? And I learned to apply that to myself as well. Kids are brutally honest. So I thought, take that same approach with myself. Be honest with myself. Be honest with the audiences that I'm speaking to. And be transparent and open about what this event means. The people that I'm helping support, my father, the Canadian Cancer Society, all those people that we know that are faced with that challenge. It also helps to be honest, helps you ask, or be honest with yourself. A lot of times we talk ourselves out of things. And to be honest with yourself, you can also talk yourself into something. And I think that's what I learned with this as well, is that to say that, you know what, this is a challenge, but it actually might be possible. Why not give it a shot? There are people out there that are faced with much more difficult and much more fearful challenges. So why not give this one a shot? And talking about fearlessness as a child, a great lesson from my 1-year-old at the time, who before he could walk was crawling up the staircase. Total fearlessness as children, not really realizing the outcomes, but it's the fearlessness of what he was trying to do, which was a lesson, which is to say, you know what, whatever the goal is, go for it, regardless. And there was a study that I read about recently that talked about this sense of curiosity that children have. And they saw that children, in their thinking small approach, are much more equipped to solve problems, or complex problems many times, than adults can be faced with. If they think small, and they break down the complexity, because they ask the obvious questions. And part of the study was to ask magicians, who would they rather have as an audience? Children or adults? And 9 times out of 10, magicians chose adults because the kids always figure out the tricks. Children would always see the obvious answer to the problem they were faced with, where adults take it at face value and think it's real. So I met with Bill earlier this year to talk about this event. I found that, there was this demonstration of these same traits. Actually, when I first spoke to Bill on the phone and talked a little bit about this event, it was that enthusiasm that I heard back that I hadn't heard in many of the people that I had reached out to in this event. And it was helpful because when you're undertaking, you put yourself out there in the same way that I am right now. It helps to have some enthusiasm to come back to you. So he, in many ways, demonstrated that same type of enthusiasm. The second was his willingness to help, that optimism, to say, we can support this cause, we can support this event. And also the transparency. What I learned talking to Bill was the transparency is offered, the optimism is offered to help, lending a hand regardless. No strings attached. In many ways, I think many organizations or people in the organizations have forgotten that trait, those traits of optimism, those basic traits that we all can do more of, genuine kindness. to demonstrate that youthful enthusiasm that we tend to lose as adults. Now, throughout the day, I talk about these speeches, and I also talk about and share stories of folks from the Canadian Cancer Society. That's who we're doing this for at the end of the day. I want to share a story of hope with you. It's the story of Susan. Susan was a peer support worker for those who were diagnosed with cancer. In 1999, she herself was faced with cancer as well. When she began her treatment, she didn't want to tell her kids. After her treatment, she said, I felt great physically, but mentally, she still had a lot to deal with. She wanted to shield her kids from that. And one day, one of these times when she had broken down crying, unexpectedly, one of her sons, her boys, came into the room and discovered her upset. And her son reassured her that everything would be okay. And there's that youthful optimism that kids have. And we always think, kids have that unlimited optimism. They don't really know what's going on. But for Susan, that was the strength she needed to continue on. And she said that it was the optimism of her son, her boy, that was ultimately the strength she had to continue forward. And to this day, she said her children are her sense of strength, or her source of strength. I'll leave you with this thought that Frank Lloyd Wright said, that youth isn't a number, but it's an attitude. I think in taking away what I learned from this event is to have a youthful attitude no matter what challenge we're facing. Because the positive approach is sometimes the best approach. So, thank you very much for taking the time to listen to my speech today, and have a wonderful day.